for round fees, they pay for carts, they pay for annual season passes. There is not anywhere in the city of Norwalk budget where there's a line item for Oak Hills for tax dollars. Third, if you all took a look at the financial statements and realized the problem at Oak Hills is the restaurant and the debt on the restaurant, okay? When the Oak Hills Park Authority was formed, there was $3.1 million in debt that the city bonded for the city to use on the park. $900,000 was it for drainage improvements. $1 million was supposed to go for the construction of the restaurant, and $1.2 million was supposed to go for the construction of a driving range. We have seen, Clyde and I, financial projections for the driving range. I can tell you that if you looked at the market value of the rent and you look at the net income that a driving range would generate, okay, the net operating income, depending on whose projection you believe, are anywhere between $400,000 and $500,000 a year. A 4.5% 20-year schedule, okay, that is the bond rate that we're paying on the restaurant, okay, and the other items, is $235,000 in debt. So basically we have 1 3/4 to 2 times debt service coverage. When the driving range was not built, they totally eviscerated the revenue at the ball at Oak Hills, because you took out all the money, okay? And instead of spending $1 million, which was originally intended on a restaurant, they went and spent $2.2 million plus. The debt service on $2.2 million that wasn't adjusted yet was $190,000 a year. The most rent that they could get from the restaurant was about 90 grand a year. Okay, so we're already in the hole 100 grand before we get started. That decision was made by politicians. Okay, the Oak Hills Authority, who was there at the time, supported it. Okay, they never should have spent the money that they did. Now we're in a financial situation where we have to deal with it. So despite what some of the members in the audience think, this is a financial decision that needs to be made by this board. Okay, we need to make sure that we've got enough money to pay our bills. Okay, it was completely irresponsible for people to do that. And it just dumbfounds me why people don't even look at that. It's the simplest answer that's available. Okay, with regard to the park itself, 35,000 people use the park a year. Okay, they're golfers, plus 12 walkers. Okay, fact of the matter is, the diversity of Norwalk is not only its population, but its recreational uses. Okay, and this is a fine golf course. And I have to tell you one thing. I came on this board 10 months ago, and it was a laughing stock. I sit here today and I look at the management of the park. These people have done a wonderful job. So stop attacking them and trying to support them a little bit. Now,
really attacking.
We're not attacking.
We're not attacking
if you
you.
let me finish with my report, please.
So
Irate.
Let me finish with my report.
Vitriol.
no, but
Clyde and I have spent the last several months reviewing the reports, okay? Or reviewing the proposals for the park. We have gone through everything. The amount of time Clyde and I have spent on projections that these people have provided, he called me on vacation twice in 2 different locations so we can work through these projections and decide which direction we want to go with the park, okay, to go with the driving range. He and I are agnostic with regard to the location. We've always have been. When we put the RFP together, in there was or other alternative location that people wanted to do. Okay? We have 2 proposals. We have one, which is the King proposal. We have the other one, which is the total driving range solution proposal. Clyde and I have gone back and forth with them over the last couple of months trying to develop a business model necessary so we can generate the most revenue to the park. And that's all our approach has been all along. It's not about saving trees. It's about paying the debt service on an awful piece of debt, which is a subprime mortgage. So what we are recommending this evening is we need to proceed with this and make a decision. It's a long way from being done, but I think it's to the point where we have a business model that we can live with for the park. What we are recommending is that we proceed with the negotiating the proposal that Jim Downey and his group have made. We think for the park, it best serves in terms of its finances. It's going to provide the highest net revenue to the park basic things we've discussed so far. We have an option to buy it every 5 years, which I think is good. So if it's a success and the city is good enough to raise the money, then there's an option there. The amount of money he'll pay us is going to be a percentage, a reasonable percentage of the gross versus a fixed amount. The other thing that he's going to provide, okay, which I think is good, his architect will provide us with master planning services. Because one of the things that we're going to do is actually take a look at our master plan, update it, finally get it approved the way it should be, and develop alternative uses for the park. Okay, alternative recreational uses for the park. And I think his proposal does that. Clyde?
Yeah, no, his proposal takes us much closer to what we see as an acceptable deal that will be most beneficial to the course, while not hurting the environment, not hurting. It's going to have a little impact on play. We are worried about that. We're going to make sure that gets addressed.
That's right.
But we have to move on it. Like, we have to finally say, okay, we're going to try to go this way, go that way. We've gone with both of them. And to go back to one of the comments made, it's a typical RFP process when you don't tell everybody what's going on. You're in negotiations. You can't have public comment when you're in negotiations. People need to understand that we're not being quiet because we want to be quiet. Being quiet because that's how an RFP process works. That's the way it is. You have to get on a board to understand that, to be a business person to understand. You don't share all that information. That being said, we have gone back and forth, good cop, bad cop, the whole thing, have met, we've talked, we've addressed it with the city. We are at the point where we want to make a recommendation that we want to proceed. That only means we want to proceed with a proposal to begin negotiations to see if we can get a driving range. Okay, that we're not saying we're going to build a driving range, but we're choosing the alternate site. There's very few trees that need to be knocked down. There's barns and things that are going to have to be moved. It's a different animal. But in reality, when it comes down to it, and I told Ernie this, I'd fight the fight and take the trees down if I thought it was the better deal. It's not the better deal to put it down in the woods there. It's not the better deal for the park. It's just not. It doesn't. They didn't step up like Jim Downey did.
So
Jim Downey stepped
that
up.
should certainly satisfy the people who were interested in maintaining that piece of land as status quo, basically.
Yeah, and I think really, at the end of the day, when we do get through the master planning process, if we do pull this deal off with Total Driving Range Solutions, that whole process will begin once we have our deal inked, because part of what Clyde and I negotiated was, all right, you're going to provide us with planning services. They're golf course architects.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the approaches that we will take, okay, is we're going to take a concerted effort to try to do some things at the park, okay, that will keep folks happy, okay? And we're trying to do the best we can with regard to that. But
You know, that woodlands could be developed, but it would be developed maybe in trails, maybe in some other use. Who knows?
I like a zip line.
I love the zip line.
It's a good idea.
So,
Do you want to put that in form of a motion to?
Zip line?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion that Ernie and I, or Ernie as chairman of the ad hoc committee, be allowed to begin formal negotiations with Total Driving Solutions to
Begin the process.
begin the process to put in a driving range.
All in favor?
Definitely.
Yeah, I
Opposed?
just think, obviously we're going to abandon whatever proposal that other entity made.
no, I don't think we're going to abandon it. I think
We're not going to pursue it.
we're
further.
not going to
pursuing
pursue
it,
it for the time being.
And,
You know, I mean, we need to have our options open to us, but from the same standpoint, if you think the best business deal, especially with an outside vendor.
I'm in favor of it,
Yeah.
and reason being, I know how diligently you guys have worked at this and studied it, and I'm going to defer to your judgment if this is the better deal.
Yeah.
Let's go for it.
It's a better business deal.
Of course.
It has a lot of advantages.
Yeah.
But if you guys say it's the
Yeah,
best
money.
business deal.
I hate to
Makes
put
it
it
a
in brass
no,
tacks.
makes it a no-brainer
It's
for
money.
me to support.
Yeah, but it's two things really, because you're satisfying the people who wanted to maintain the property where it was over there, and keep it
yeah.
the same way, so.
Well, also-
You're actually, it's a
Can I
twofold
can I tell you
process.
something, and that's a good thing to say, and maybe there's something we could do over there. I will tell you, the one person I've respected through this whole process has been Bill Wright, because he's been honest with us all along. He has his opinion. I may not necessarily agree with him, but I have to tell you, I respect him for the honesty in what he did, and I know he and Betsy are going to support us as we try to move forward with this. Did he leave?
Never mind.
Yes,
Never
but he'll
mind.
be happy to hear.
So-
Very nice.
And it also has to do with the city, it's what can happen, and 15 years locking up a piece of land is too long. We don't
Yeah.
think that would ever get through the council that way. 5 years, we have the choice to purchase it, manage it ourselves, or let it continue to run if we're happy with it.
See what kind of revenue it's gonna generate.
Yeah.
All right.
I think we'll all be very surprised by the revenue it will not only generate as a golf range and a teaching facility, but as the
Increase rounds
in rounds.
in the restaurant also.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you guys for that.
I think we have to finish the vote.
It was made.
I know it was seconded, I don't think. we-
Comment, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. Okay,
Thank you guys for all your work.
yeah, thank you. I just
We're
want
just
to,
beginning now.
I just want to move back on something.